the story of the Pharaoh is also your story, and you have to apply it to the level of life that you're living at right now. So when Osiris passes over into the other world through Set, taking him, then he has to regather himself so that he may reign in the afterlife. Just like we are supposed to govern ourselves in the afterlife. And to that favor, I mean, the Coptic Egyptians were some of the original Christians, and in Christian belief system, they talk about heaven and hell going away, and how what you build on earth, you build up in heaven. And a lot of us know that you can make your own heaven and hell right here on earth based off your mentality. And if your body is to cease and your consciousness is to remain, then based off your mentality, you decide in the afterlife if you go to heaven and hell or judge yourself. So in the Hall of Mayat, Mayat representing justice and balance, she represents also divine retribution through the goddess Nemesis, which is a primordial Greek goddess. The Greeks got they. So she is one of the avatars of the Mayat energy that we know, but it could be good, it could be bad. Most of us has feared our fate, so we tend to look at fate as a negative thing. So the Hall of Mayat, you have the scales, you have Amma, who's waiting to devour the soul of the unworthy. The feather of Mayat, which is balance and justice, and not turning the blade in situations, but allowing things to move past, not lingering, wallowing, and making it dreadful. If the dread does happen, allow it, but to make it so, then justice will be for you to receive what you've created. So as the scales are being weighed, Osiris is going to make the verdict, but as I said, the Pharaoh represents the individual. So to go all the way back, Khonsu is the avatar of the Pharaoh, and this specter guy, this main character guy, is going through his dark night of the soul, because being a moon aspect, you deal with the shadow self. The shadow represents the moon self. We have our months are made off of the term moon. Well, months are derived from moon. Lunacy, which is madness, is also, and then you have werewolves who go crazy, and then you have the wolves that long for that scream with longing, and when the waves are really strong, they tell us that those are the moon's gravitation that's creating those waves. So if the moon affects us that way, other planets may affect us that way. So dealing with the solar eclipse, we're getting beams of rays. You know, this sea of fire that's just hitting us from the skies and whatnot. But we're getting all of these rays, and the moon moves in front of it, and we're getting a direct beam of all of that energy. And we know that the sun represents, we talk about ego, we talk about our present self, our conscious self. Haru represents all hero stories. The hero represents the solar deity, the solar polarity, who triumphs over evil, over darkness, who tames chaos. So light represents the order, darkness represents the chaos. Both are needed because God is generator, operator, destroyer. So you need creation, you need destruction, and you need balance in order to manage both of those. So I don't have too much time on my camera. I'm finna try to breeze through this, so please bear with me. I'll try to insert images to help the visuals of the mind and whatnot when you jumping through these worlds. But we have coming up the solar eclipse, and with the solar eclipse, we're getting like a pipeline opportunity to hop on that stream and hop on that rainbow bridge and take ourselves to a different world. Like I said, if you make heaven and hell, then you can make any kind of world in between it. So with the 30th, just bear in mind that it's important to engage your stillness. It's important to engage your peace and set decisions for yourself. Let things go to rest. You can do rituals to release energy at this time, and they will hit you like tenfold. So, you know, something as simple as just like one time I walked around with an orange all day in my hand and just channeled all of the energy, the negative energies I was feeling. I directed it towards this orange, and I just threw it in the stream, you know. Let the stream wash over it until it eventually runs clean, you know, like muddy water. You turn the faucet on, brown water runs clear. So it's whatever applies to what you know, you know. A ritual can be done to the extent in which you believe, right? So you also want to take things that are different modalities, but we'll probably get more into a different video to really go into all the details of that. But long story short, if you could get yourself to believe it, then you can get your mind to write that as your truth. And another thing that magic has taught me is that 5-pointed star is actually the 5 limbs of man. Some people call it arm, leg, arm, arm, head, right? And some people call them the five senses. And spirit is the sixth sense, the indweller, to see the pipeline to the species of God and to our spiritual world. But through the five senses, you have touch, smell, hearing, sight, taste. You could use those to convince yourself of something. A certain flavor is gonna make you think of something. A certain smell might rouse your appetite, or a certain touch might make you feel more sensual. A certain smell might make you feel more sensual. The sight of something might make you hungry. You could use your five senses to manipulate yourself to a truth that better serves you. Doing that around the time of this 30th is valuable. And now we get into the dark side of things, because this is the solar eclipse. And as you can see, it has a ring around it. That ring is the corona, and that is also the circle of life. If you take this dot and place it in the middle, that's the ancient symbol of the soul. And this is an occurrence through soul, which is sun. So with this connection, we see not an external thing, but an internal thing. The darkness, the chaos within our lives, the things we swept under the rug, the things we threw in a drawer to make it go away, is going to be coming back on us. Like, a lot of people talk about retrogrades and everything, and abide by your own science, please. But with retrogrades, a lot of people say, well, a negative thing is happening. Well, no, in actuality, you're getting a chance to deal with all of those problems at a slower rate. So it seems like they're more prevalent. That's because they're lasting longer, because they're moving at a slower speed. And a retrograde, a planet is moving so slow that it looks like it's going backwards. So these problems are moving so slow, so gradual, so you could perform turtle magic, which is long lasting, and rabbit magic, which is short lasting. The tortoise and the hare. The hair may win every time, but if you play video games and you know a little bit about experience leveling you up, then you'll also understand you only need to win one time. So you're able to perform this turtle magic to win that one time, to make it final. So take pleasure in these trying times, and when shit gets rocky, know that you're being called to set new response systems, because your body has a chemical reaction to all problems that be going on and shit. So you have an opportunity to input a new response to those problems, and that's going to go a long way right now, because as chaos comes up, foundations are being ripped. And like in these times, you want to take the time to input those different responses, because if you're not true to yourself, everybody loves ISIS, but we'll get into the dark aspect of these justice things and nemesis and all of that. So one of the avatars of ISIS is Hecate, and Hecate has these wolves that are there to scare people off of who they're there. The wolves are there to scare people who go off of their path. So if you go off of your path, so if you touch the fire, you're going to burn yourself to let yourself know you're doing damage. So when bad things get to happen in your life, sometimes it's because you're going in the wrong way. You're occupying the wrong space, so you're creating more problems in your life by occupying a space that's not for you. You feel all cramped up and everything because you're in a whip too small for you. So now you feel like you're in a cage. You need to find something that's more adequate for you, and you do that by getting in tune with yourself. So when you see all them shadows and everything, man, you just gotta put the input of sitting still. And if the universe tries to award you with some pussy, some dick, a meal, whatever, and somebody hitting you up after a while and shit, say no, I'm gonna take my blessing on a higher lesson than that, and sit still and turn down the petty shit that you know just gonna lead you back to the old shit anyway. Yeah, I mean, so and one of the thing, and the reason I brought up Hecate and these shadow figures is because the corona, sphere, pandemic, pandemonium, pandas. No, but but anyway, like, this looks like this. And this is the ring. And the ring is what? 7 days. You have 7 days, make the week, God, 7 days, creation, whatever. You also have your 7 chakras, and then you also have the sacred number of 7 with the Moors and everything. But these is 7 points of power. These are 7 points of your fucking African power, whatever the fuck you want to call that shit. But these is your 7 points. 7 days to figure it out, because you're being hurt. If you look at the movie The Ring as a little insight as to how we haunt ourselves, because The Ring looked like The Grudge, and The Grudge happens when someone dies with a negative impression that they couldn't let go of and resolve. They talk about ghost haunting because they couldn't resolve something. So if your shit unresolved, your heart gonna be heavy, ain't it? And then it's gonna be too heavy for the scales, ain't it? But guess what? You think that when you die, you're gonna go to hell or whatever. If heaven and hell go away, as according to the Bible, and the Coptic Egyptians were the early Christians, so this shit come from them. So when we talk about the Hala Mayat, they talk about Amen eating your ass. But then you look at something like Sun Wukong, who goes in the furnace, and that furnace is a fire, a life or whatever. Your reincarnation is being a shitard, a negrito, another nigga being born again, because you didn't get it right the first time. You could also watch Midnight Gospel. It's a episode about the whole prison thing, possibility of Earth being a prison and everything, by some fucking demiurge. But I'm getting beside myself, man, because you may want to just challenge yourself. Whatever you came here for is whatever you came here for, and whatever you believe is what it's going to be ultimately. But there are ways to wire yourselves to believe in certain things, and just saying you believe it don't mean you're going to believe it. You need to be able to convince yourself. So sometimes you use those five senses, you use rituals and everything, and you manipulate your reality, because that's what a master of self does. Manipulates their reality to be what is the preferred and reflective of their true nature. And if you don't have the power to manipulate, or if you acting like you don't have the power to manipulate, then you're being manipulated, because you have the power, and with that power you could do a lot of harm, but there's also a lot of responsibility. And a lot of people give their power away so that they don't have to be responsible for all of this other shit that's going on and whatnot. They don't have to be responsible for their own fucking life at the day, because they're waiting for a Messiah, and your ass gonna fuck around and see a demon. Because the other side of this is this: in 7 days, if you don't figure it out, then you know it's just gonna be documented on the tape that way, and you're gonna be stuck in, well, and don't get caught in the same rings and same cycles, man, because your revolution can also not be in your favor. And I don't think we spend enough time talking about that. We can have revolution, and that revolution could lead to something worse. You have to look forward. You have to use your forethought. Take that Prometheus story, man. The word Prometheus literally is forethought. So it's like, to die for the sins, to have the forethought to make the sacrifice, to put certain things out of your life, to change what your input is in different codes and everything, and move away from all of that shit. To sacrifice and move away from all that shit. Because if you're not willing to sacrifice, if you're not willing to make that sacrifice and go through that struggle to resolve, to meet your partnership, if we go back to Moon Knight, it's 3 aspects that have to come into accord in order for them to function properly. If you can't get yourself on the same page with yourself, then you are going to be at war with yourself. Man, you just going to be another dead, walking motherfucker waiting to reincarnate, because someone else is in control, and you can't help but to stay in your reactionary body that jumps up. When you see the color red and yellow, your appetite stimulates. There's Edward Bernays is, you got to look into him. When you look at all your marketing campaigns, this is the nephew of Freud, who used all of his psychology tricks in order to market shit better. And then his nephew is the fucking owner of Netflix. So we're talking about lineages of knowing the secrets of how to function your mind to create physical desires, so that your physical desires could impress back to your body and change your mind, affecting your soul. Because the soul can't be changed, right? Unless it's by self. But self could be manipulated if you believe body is self, and being stuck in that cycle, man. So when we got this eclipse coming, please take time to correct your cycles. Look what cycles you're creating. Liberate yourself from former cycles. Do rituals. Just burn letters and pictures and shit if you need to. But do something that's going to make you feel like you're putting previous versions of yourself at rest. Because some people are holding images of you that do not do who you are becoming any justice, or leave leeway for you to become who you are becoming. They want to confine you to the restrictions of who you used to be and maintain you in that position, so that they don't have to be responsible for themselves fucking up. Because they could always look at you and say, well, they're a fuck up. Well, they're this. Well, they're that. And well is just such a fucking compromise. So, Get yourself out the belly of the beast. Walk amongst God, and remember, you was here before your body. And all them computer jockeys and Elon Musk and shit, they telling you gonna be here after your body. Do you want to be here in a computer system, or do you want to be liberated from the physical confines? Because if your consciousness can exist outside of the body and be documented and transferred, then it could go anywhere you want to. And they need you to believe you're going where they want you to go in order to confine you there. Go check out some fucking photons and double slit experiments. Plenty other little quantum physics shit, fucking quantum entanglements, and then you look at the fucking we're not even gonna get into that. We're gonna try to make more content and like continue to get the nourishment out. But I just felt the need to throw that in there, and let's see if I publish this one, man. Much love to y'all. Be God or be through, man.